Pep Guardiola going into his 6th season as Manchester City boss. We're asking you, what's he done to change football in England, in the Premier League? I think he's been superb. He's won 8 trophies during those 5 years. We'll compare those with a certain other manager in a few moments' time. But you can get your calls in on 08717 223344. You're listening to Hugh Woozencroft alongside the former England defender Danny Mills on kickoff this evening. I said a moment ago, I thought Pep Guardiola was just so special. You know, one of the major things for me, like I said, around Sir Alex Ferguson is the ability to change your squad virtually entirely in many ways. But it's the key players, you know, the spine of the team that he was able to change. Because I think at Manchester City, they had something that Manchester United didn't in a way, which was that this team, the first team, you know, Vincent Kompany, that spine that had David Silva, you know, I think that basically Fernandinho, who's still there, of course.
It wasn't bad though.
No, but no, I'm not saying it's bad. But let me finish.
Aguero.
Let me finish. Yes, let me finish. I think that was the most important squad Manchester City had in about 30, 40 years. That was my point.
And also Pep came into that squad. Had won the Premier League.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean. They'd previously got over the line. Exactly.
So in Manchester United were a huge, you know, with all due respect, they hadn't had the greatest period of time, but they were already a huge mammoth football club in world football when Sir Alex Ferguson went there. He was really trying to get them back to their glory days. Well, you know, Manchester City had won the league a couple of years before, but what has happened since Pep Guardiola had gone there has been totally something they've never experienced.
Flip that around and look at Mourinho's record in full seasons. It's very, very similar to Pep's. I know people will talk about the disasters and it fell apart at times, and it did. But when you look at the full seasons that Mourinho had, first in the Premier League, first in the Premier League, second in the Premier League, third in the Premier League, first in the Premier League.
Almost identical in many ways to Pep Guardiola.
The numbers are the same; they're just in a slightly different order, aren't they? You know, 8 trophies for Pep, 7 for Mourinho. Very, very similar. Granted, the styles of play were completely different, and that is one thing that Pep does have.
I just think Pep Guardiola. This is what I mean about the different dynamic at Manchester City. For him to go there, a team that had won the league a couple of years before, and put a stamp on it. Like I say, that was their most important squad for decades, and everyone at Manchester City thinking these guys are club legends after winning 1 Premier League title. You know, for him to go there and take it through the gears, to put them on a totally different level, to keep that spine, and now basically get rid of it. You know, we'll see Sergio Aguero's out the door now. Fernandinho's still there, whether he remains a key player, but to bring in Kevin De Bruyne, of course. You know, he was there in his first season, but wasn't the player that he is now.
And that's probably where
a great player, a great player, one of the best midfielders in the world.
Advantage. Sir Alex Ferguson and Pep have the advantage over Mourinho that they were able to reinvent their squads and get rid of players and bring players in without causing too much dissension.
Jose was able to invent a squad in many ways because he brought into the club so many players, basically saw what stuck.
But what I'm saying is he then couldn't get rid of those big players and bring in other big players. It was Mourinho that went, wasn't it? You know, in between those times. That's what I'm saying. There's obviously the longevity. It was Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge. He got those big players out the door. He remained, and he brought other big players in. Pep's doing the same sort of thing. You know, he's allowing Aguero to move on. He's allowed other big players to move on as well. You know, David Silva and Vincent Kompany. Whereas Mourinho brought in these big players, but then those big players got rid of him. Effectively, those big players stayed, and Mourinho was out until they'd gone, and then Mourinho came back in again.
Who's done more then for the Premier League? Do you think Jose or Pep?
I think they're different. I think they're very, very different. I think, you know, and it's different styles of football at different times. You know, Chelsea had been way off it, way off the pace for many, many years. Jose came in and was like, wow, this is something completely different. You know, was it 15 goals they conceded in one season? You know, that was that was outstanding in itself. And he also played 4-3-3, which was relatively new at the time. You know, lots of teams then were still playing 4-4-2, and he changed that dynamic. The game was evolving to the way of a more possession-based game. You know, and you look at the way international football has changed and what Gareth has had to do at international level. But I said Pep fast forwarded that by probably 2 or 3 seasons, maybe even more, in the Premier League, by coming in and going, wow, I'm going to get my goalkeeper to start pinging balls and I'm going to start playing out from the 6-yard box.
There is stuff that Manchester City do that does sometimes boggle the mind, even those that watch football a lot. You know, the way that the ball is interesting, that you bring it up, the way that Ederson delivers the ball, sometimes just from goal kicks. I remember watching a game, this is back when Leroy Sané was still in the team. Maybe Raheem Sterling does it now, a trigger point where they would manage to get the ball from Ederson to Leroy Sané, who would be completely unmarked in the centre circle, who would have run in, sprinted in from the touchline, all the way to the centre circle, and it would just be floated into him, and he'd just have a touch, turn, and have a clean run.
They work on these things time and time again. You know, the other, I think it was Bravo that was playing, actually. It was the League Cup final, and he just launched one straight down the middle, and it wasn't just a hopeful hit. I think he launched it straight down the middle to Aguero, who scored. I mean, you couldn't get more Route 1 if you wanted to, but it was planned Route 1. It wasn't just a stick it up in the air and put snow on it and see what happens. He just absolutely zinged it straight through to Aguero. So it's proven that they can adapt. But yeah, the style of play, everybody's tried to copy it, and a lot of teams have failed quite badly.
The thing is, people copied the way that Jose Mourinho played. I think he had an equally big impact. You know, there was
it's a lot easier to copy what Mourinho did, though, than it is to copy what Pep did.
There was a period of time where people were looking at this one holding midfielder. Essien was there for a time. Claude Makelele, of course, as well, saying, right, this one sitter. We know Makelele had done it at Real Madrid, but Jose just said, look, you sit, don't move. Block off any passes into the forward's feet. And that's what I'm saying. And he was the best in the world at it.
That was 4-3-3, effectively.
That was 4-3-3, but then it evolved over the years to having 2 sitters, and people were saying this is almost too defensive. Jose then started to become criticised by many for having great squads of players and not playing more attacking football, but nevertheless, the trophies were there. How could you criticise him? You know, Pep Guardiola has always tried to play an expansive style of football. Yeah, so which do you prefer?
Oh, I think if you were...
It's not just about beauty. They've won very similar amounts of trophies.
There's an art in both. I can appreciate an incredible defensive display. You know, and if you're going to be... Look at what Italy did, you know, against Belgium in the last 30, 40 minutes of the Euros. That was their defensive display was outstanding. You know, you got 2 players, 34, 36 years old. Wow. Magnificent. You know, we were talking about age, you know, and people saying Ramos. Well... I'd have Chiellini over Varane. I'd have Chiellini over Ramos. You know, and he's old. You know, you'd also have Bonucci in there, who's 34. You know, sometimes age depends how you look after yourself and that type of thing. There's equal in both. You know, that when City play some of their stuff, it's just majestic to watch. But I can appreciate the effort and the skill that it takes to play in a Mourinho style and only concede, 15 goals a season. This might be slightly biased as a defender, but that also takes an awful lot of work to be able to do that.
Colin is a Spurs fan. He's let us know what he thinks about Pep Guardiola and what might be next. Good evening, Colin. How are you?
Hi there, lads. Yeah, brilliant. You know what? Great show, lads. Really, really good. Honestly, great.
Thank you.
Do you know what, Pep? Right. I just want to say, he knows. Right. Everyone forgets how dominant Liverpool was. Yeah, before this all happened. Yeah, they was Man City were good, then also Liverpool dominated the season after. But then the good thing about Pep, he knows he's got to change the way they play all the time. He's got to change because they get sussed out. They've been knocked out of, been beaten in Champions League by English clubs.
Mm.
You know, and they know to get sussed out, and this is why he's gone right. Aguero, he's not going to get another Aguero. Yeah, he's got to change his system. He's got to have a plan B.
He might get Kane.
Yeah, this is what he is. He is. I'm a Tottenham fan. And he's going to get Kane. He knows that, right? And the owners, when I watched that the other day on telly, and the relationship with the city and the owners, they went to meet the owners and everything. And do you know what? They're so proud of their club. The owners, they want to win everything. They want to dominate. You know, and by him not winning the Champions League again, they've gone, right, what do you need to win the Champions League? He's gone, you know what, I need 2 players. He can't afford to take a chance in this level of his team to try and get another Aguero. You're not going to get someone.
And that's why I said, Pep is... Yeah. there's still that. The only doubt about Pep is he hasn't won the Champions League at another club, and he's been at very, very good clubs. But just going back, I don't know if you were listening to us earlier on. What are the expectations for Spurs this season?
Well, do you know what? I would just love to get the Kane thing sorted out so we know where we stand. Really,
but where do you realistically think?
Daddy, you can be fair to Colin. You know, a season with Harry Kane is very different to a season without him.
Let's assume that Harry Kane's going. So without Harry Kane, where is realistic for Tottenham to finish this season?
Well, do you know what? We're not going to be anywhere near the top 4. We won't be anywhere near the top 4, right? But we need to build on that and try and, if we can get into Europe, the UEFA, whatever, then we can get a squad of getting people playing in Europe or whatever. But you know, we're not going to be anywhere near that. We've got to understand that. Levy's got to understand that and not try and buy everything all overnight.
And just on the Kane thing, I know we're not allowed to mention his name anymore.
Yeah.
But do you want him to stay now? Now he said that he wants to go. Do you want him to stay? If he does stay, do you think he's going to be sort of under duress?
Yeah, I remember watching Kane when he was so young, and I watched him when he first started and I thought, you know, he's one of them. He'll be gone soon, on loan, then gone. You know, it's remarkable how he's come through, but he has been so dedicated to Spurs. I mean, he wanted to leave a couple of years ago. Levy said, right, we'll do this, we'll do that. You know, we'll get him in now. We'll spend some money. Got Mourinho in. We've got a new stadium, and he's fair play to Kane. You can't blame him. People don't look at this. He's gone, okay, I'll give you another season. That's how loyal he is to Tottenham. That's how loyal he is. But listen, he's got to go. I feel sorry for him. Levy will not hold him back. He will not hold him back.
Colin, Spurs fan, thank you for your call tonight on talkSPORT. Really interesting points made. I love the fact that Colin said Pep has to change the way that City play because teams are beginning to suss him out. Up next, we're going to talk about the tactics under Pep Guardiola with Lars Sivertsen. Stay with us.
Kick-off with Hugh Woozencroft. Tuesday to Thursday night, 7 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.